Hello, welcome to Grandpa's Workshop. I'm Loz, and as always you're welcome in the workshop. I thought it was about time I did another update, if only because a couple of you have started DMing me and asking me how I am. Well, still alive. February I had my 70th, so health not too bad. I'm not liking being 70, but there you go. It's not something I can do anything about. What have I been up to? Well, the new shed, the 12 by 8, which I told you, I'd got the groundwork done to prepare for it. Well, I actually put my man pants on and went to A9 fencing 2 weeks ago, and I've ordered it with all the bells and whistles, the heavy duty frame, the extra security locks and stuff, the heavy duty roof covering because of our wind, the heavy duty flooring. So that's coming. I'm not building it myself. For the same price I could have got one of these Lego assemble yourself log cabins, but there's no way I'm going up on the roof. I'm alright up to the eaves level, but after I've topped out, that's me finished. So it's not quite as heavy duty as a log cabin, but it's only a shed, and that's where I'm going to move the workbench and my router table in, and the mobile bench I'll be putting, well, you'll see as I go. It's part of my 70th, which I'm dead chuffed about. The family are clubbing together and going to get the electrics put in for me, so that's a plus. What else? I've had something delivered. The idea is in the 12 by 8, when I get round to it, more about later, I'm going to move all my hand tools and my basically smaller benchtop tools in there, and have the big table saw and the bandsaw in here, and then I'll have room to move around. Not that I'm motivated to do anything with the present state of the world, and more of that shortly. In the meantime, before depression and the lack of the will to live set in, I bought some stuff for my hand tool working. I found a YouTuber banging on about this, but there's a Japanese woodworker who's done a very nice book on woodworking joinery by hand with a minimalist set of tools and jigs. Smashing, and I'm shocking at cutting a straight line at right angles, so I'm setting up to do that. The book shows you and tells you how to make the jigs out of ply and hardwood, but I've bought the ready-made stuff, so I'll show you in here. That's the Japanese saw that you use with 0 set on the teeth, and this is the jig you use to handsaw up against a magnetic plate that's clamped to the table, and that allows you to saw vertically and at right angles to your small pieces of wood. And there's even, can you see them, the pre-drill holes and some set screws, so you can do 45 degrees for miter cuts. There's also another jig which shows you how to make, again yourself. That sits up and that enables you to clamp the wood against these magnetic surfaces and cut vertically the various thicknesses so you can do your lap joints and your mortise and tenons. So that's my attempt at bridging the hand-eye, hand-tool skill set lacking. So my dad would be proud of me. So that's that. Also, and I'm not going to show you, I've got a cracking rim router, a jig set, plate set. I'll put a link down below. I bought it with my own money, so I make nothing from the links, but this is an absolutely cracking jig set. If I pull it out, so it takes any a major brand of trim router. It's got accurate slides so you can do circles, accurate measurements. It's got extra plates, a fence. It's got more stuff than you can shake a stick at. It's hugely expensive compared to these simpler perspex ones that you can get, but it has the accuracy I need. So I'll be also able to do mortise and tenons, rebates and rabbets and grooves with my little trim router. So that's going to be a major thing. It's also got, I mean, the actual design that's gone into this to hold all your bits is just amazing. So I'm dead chuffed with that. I shall be doing a demonstration now. The state of the world. Where have I left it? Us here in Europe, and I'm not going to put any hashtags on this because I don't intend to clickbait anything, but as a 70-year-old who grew up in, well, born in 55, you can tell, who grew up in the 50s, 60s and 70s, I'm feeling gutted, deeply betrayed and not a little angry, especially at the rhetoric that's been going around the world. And I'm not going to be political about it, and I'm not going to, and please, I don't have a lot of subscribers, don't take this to heart. I'm just explaining how I feel. Oh right, I'm just sticking an extra bit in that I remembered while I was editing. Born in 55, my primary school, which was a city centre primary school in Salford, next to Manchester, which also got absolutely hammered during the Blitz because of our docks and our factories down at Trafford Park. My primary school had something like, in fact there was an article in the Salford City Reporter, had kids whose nationalities came from all over Europe as refugees, something like 22 nationalities. Most of my friends had strange surnames coming from the Ukraine, from Poland, from Hungary, Serbia. All refugees that we welcomed in, and they grew up in Britain and have contributed for the next couple of generations. So that's just a point about refugees. Back to what I'm on about. I had an uncle who was part of the D-Day landings. He didn't get off the beach. He left a significant part of himself on the beach and got medevac straight out because he was first to stand up as the ramp went down on the landing craft, and the whole landing craft took it, and he was one of, I think, 2 or 3 that survived because he was already stood up and he took his leg off him. He was a broken man. Another uncle was a tail gunner in the bombers, and any one of you that knows what being a tail gunner entailed, and he did, I think he did his 20, his rotation, you were lucky if you weren't hosed out of the tail if the plane got back after a bombing run. And he was a broken man. Lovely man. Had an uncle that flew Hurricanes. Not as glamorous as the Spitfire, but he flew Hurricanes during the Battle of Britain. He was a little tender afterwards as well. All fighting fascism. And then in the 70s, I had a brief stint for the Americans, something like the National Guard. I joined the TAVR and did a contract with them as a sapper. And my job, if the balloon had gone up in the 70s, would have been to be dropped this side of the Seine and run like Billy O backwards, laying mines and blowing bridges. And our understanding was at that time we wouldn't have made it back to the Channel before the mushrooms started sprouting all over Europe. So first the fascists and then the Russians. And we've had a peace dividend for the past 80 years. Guess to who? Our partners. Some of you guys are American. You're responsible for the rules-based international order, and you've kept it for 80 years. So small countries have not been the subject to aggression by large countries since the end of the Second World War, give or take. All down to you. And now we're told we in Europe are freeloaders. We've been lectured on the international stage for freeloading. Now, you can argue what you like about the amount of money it takes for us to spend, what did that president call it? Military industrial complex. We're not spending enough. Marvellous. Is it just the amount? What about blood and treasure? We're now in Europe facing a state where our biggest ally for the past 80 years is arguing over nickels and dimes and threatening to pull out of NATO. Well, that's your right. If you don't feel you're getting enough arms sales out of it during the peacetime, then Europe's up the creek without a paddle. But don't tell me we've been freeloading. I have to remind you that Article 5, which you're threatening on not helping us with, has only been called once in the life of NATO. When was that? Yeah. Afghanistan. 20 years Europe's helped you in Afghanistan. We're only small, but we lost 457 soldiers supporting your end in Afghanistan, and another 400 and odd amputations. Talk to some of your veterans about what life is like without one or more limbs. We also helped you out in the Gulf War. 47 deaths, British blood lost in the Gulf War. A total of 392 died, including ours, from 32 nations that helped you in the Gulf War. The Second Iraq War, we lost 179 soldiers helping you there. We've got somebody who served in Afghanistan in our extended family. He's back in civvies now, thank God. But if you think your best interest is served coming out of Europe, think on. It always comes back to bite you. 2%, 2.5%, even 5%, which Poland, if you look into the history of Poland and why they're spending so much, because they were shafted both ways, both by the Nazis and by the communists. And all the little countries that ran under the NATO umbrella as fast as they can to get away from the grasp of the Russian oligarchs is our aggression. That's like poking at a great victim and saying, did you encourage it? Were you weak? I don't know. As I say, don't start flaming each other in the comments. America's entitled to serve its best interests. And it looks like it's not aligned with the future of Europe, which is significantly larger in GDP terms than Russia anyway. So we will spend more and we will look after our interests. It's just amazing. You know, I wish I'd gone with Nana Sue to see this. Pandering to actual fascists in Europe, pandering and murdering oligarchs. Anyway, I've had enough. I don't feel like doing anything or posting anything, making woodwork projects when the world's gone to hell in a handbasket. I don't know. What can you do? What was it George Carlin said donkeys years ago? It's a big club and we're not in it. So, you take care, guys. I'm just spouting. I won't mention this again, and I won't engage in sniping about who's in the right or wrong. I'm just feeling gutted. So, you take care, guys. I'll try and cheer up. This all seems like nothing. You take care.